26th of August, Rabbi Levitt, Horeb.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Lou. Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
And Alan was in also, but he'll be coming in. Here he is. He's coming in again.
He sent a message about what time class is, so I figured he'd come in.
Yeah,
He came in before. Okay.
There he is.
So may I ask, please, what page have you got up to?
Okay, it's page 255 and it's section 378. So page 255, Roy.
Thank you.
255. All right, we got into the next. Oh yes, we were talking about this. Right. What exactly does this mean? Okay. So we're up to 378. Right. Last thing we've first said was, based upon these psukim that he's talking about over here, don't vex a stranger, don't oppress him, because you were also strangers in Mitzrayim. Don't forget the Torah's pronouncement, don't restrict anyone's path of life. And in 377, he was speaking about it in an economic sense. Don't have any right to hinder in business your brother, who is a human being just as you. Okay. So let's see what he has to say further. 378. Good morning, Alan. Okay. We call upon Roy to start off the reading. We haven't heard Roy's voice for such a long time.
Okay. So we should not restrict anyone's path of life. The last bit. But even though you do not restrict his ways and means, and you allow him to travel the wide highway of the law and to win the blessings which God bestows upon him, you may nevertheless place your superior strength between the blessings and his enjoyment of them, rendering his life miserable in spite of all these blessings, burden him with pain, torment and misery, so that only with tears will he eat the bread which God has given him for his enjoyment, and he will mark the moments of his earthly existence by his sighs. Woe unto you if you abuse and for your brethren. If you do abuse it, and with your superior power exert pressure on them, make them dependent and make them feel their dependence. Inui, woe unto you when a human soul can indict you before the throne of the supreme judge and the thief of his happiness on earth, as a disturber of his enjoyment of life, as a source of his tears. God, whom you think is so high in heaven, so far away that you imagine you could toy with the happiness of his children, God is near to all the oppressed. He sees every tear and every sigh reaches him, and reaction is quick, and he strikes you down, and the afflicted one rises again.
Okay, wow. All right, so that was for Inui.
Here?
Inui, Inui is translated as affliction, to afflict the person. Okay, 379. We go to Lou to continue the reading, please.
You're muted, Lou.
Oh, Lou has a red mic.
Sorry. Above all, the Torah warns us against afflicting and oppressing those human beings who, being helpless themselves, need the help and support of others, and against whom the abuse of power is all the more terrible as it is easy, and it gives as examples the stranger, the widow, and the orphan. Take the stranger. Trustful does he enter your country, your city, your community, confident of finding people who will respect him as their fellow man and not begrudge him a place among themselves where he can live and live like a human being. He has no other letter of recommendation than his human countenance, nobody to introduce him but God, who presents him to you as his child and says, he is like you, and may he do as you do, grant him equal rights. He is my child. My earth is his home. I have called on him just as I called on you joyfully to fulfill his task as a human being, not to curtail that right of his. Do not spoil his joy of life. Do not abuse his helplessness. Show that you feel that your soil is God's soil and that man is God's child. Though others may discriminate against the Jew and not recognize you, stranger. Oh, excuse me, I have to go.
Okay. Mayor, would you like to continue the reading from where we left off?
Well, I'm not quite sure where he left off. I would continue.
Okay.
Uh,
As far as I could tell, we are on page 256.
Okay, I'm there in the first paragraph someplace.
Yeah. Though others may discriminate against the Jew.
Oh, okay. Though others may discriminate against the Jew and not recognize you, the stranger as a human being, you as a Jew, son of Israel, must not fail to recognize every stranger as a human being. In Mitzrayim, you learned that God protects the stranger. It was as the protector of the stranger against the natives' oppressive arrogance, as the protector of right against might, that God first revealed himself to you. Show that you are a Jew. Hold the stranger sacred. And widow and orphan. The husband and father dies, and dying pictures his wife without a friend, his children without a father. Into whose trust can we give them? God takes the lonely ones under his protection and says to human society, which in itself never dies, be a friend to the widow, a father to the orphan, and every individual into whose orbit they come must bear his share in the execution of the communal duty. But if both society and the individual, instead of considering orphan and widow as given into their trust by God, see in them who are deprived of friend and provider, all the more easy prey to their power, force them off their path of life, rob them of their livelihood, and darken their life with suffering and grief, then God, whom they had forgotten, will rise and show that he is the friend of the widow and the father of the orphan, and that those are at least helpless who seem to be it most. But not only the stranger and the widow and the orphan, women, servants, the poor, every dependent person, everyone who is unhappy or suffering, they are all under the special protection of the Almighty, who defends the right of the weak against the power of the strong. There is no distinction whether the widow and orphan be rich or poor, whether the orphan has lost father or mother, as long as the orphan cannot look after his own interests, he is considered an orphan in this respect. You may serve in educating an orphan when this is necessary for his own good.
Sorry.
But even then,
Sorry,
see.
Maria, you may be severe.
whereas you may be severe.
Yeah, you said
Oh, yeah. Okay.
different.
4 lines up from the bottom of the paragraph. You
One,
may
two,
be
three.
severe in educating an orphan.
Oh, I didn't even know if I got there yet. Okay. You may be severe. Oh, I said serve maybe. Okay, you may be severe in educating an orphan when this is necessary for his own good. But even then, you should be gentler than with others, as the orphan is more impressionable. The same applies to anyone poor, dependent, or unhappy.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Now, there's the Torah just picked out these particular people, the stranger, widow, and orphan. And right here, he's talking specifically about widow and orphan. And you have to realize that you can't be as tough with them, even though if being tough might be best for their education and upbringing. But with someone like that, no, you have to be a little bit gentler. Because they're more impressionable, he says. And he says now the same will apply not only for someone who's an actual orphan or an actual widow, but even somebody who's poor or somebody who's dependent. He can't make his own way. He's dependent upon others. Or someone who's just unhappy. These people are more impressionable than other people are. And we have to take into account that factor, and you have to be you can't be as severe in educating or them or telling them something than the rest of the populace.
Wow.
Wow, I think that might take in today about 99% of the populace.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. 380. And we go to Alan.
Hi.
Morning, Alan.
Good morning. You hear me?
Oh boy, you got a long one here. Oh boy.
But do not imagine that you can sin only by deeds, that you are law abiding. If you merely refrain from afflicting and oppressing your neighbor by deeds, from harming a human being by your actions, for also with the word, the fleeting word, the word with which you have been endowed to do great good, can you inflict more injury, strike more surely, destroy happiness and contentment more irreparably than with violence and indignant action. God has made sensitive man's soul capable of being pained by every harsh touch, and yet he created this tender, sensitive instrument so that it may be the holder of the most sacred blessings of the human being, of honor and serenity, respect and love, of every enjoyment that life can provide, of every worthwhile feeling of happiness, and of every emotion which links man to life and to his fellow men. As long as it exists, clear and serene, within the human being so long as he will remain happy, however hard he may be hit by external events. But once it is wounded and saddened and its peace disturbed, then the human being becomes sick and withers like a crushed flower. You should hold sacred man's inner sanctuary, consider it as God-given soil in which to plant your most beautiful blessings and wisdom and solace, love and kindness. And for this purpose, you were given the most noble gift, the word.
Wow, wow.
A little bit more.
Okay. So, great. So that's the much more pain could be inflicted through a word than an action. He's saying over here. It strikes at the inner sanctuary of a person. The word, an action is just like peripheral, I guess, on the surface. It's interesting what he says over here, that this inner sanctuary of the person, as long as it exists clear, serene within the human being, so long will he remain happy, and he'll be happy however hard he may be hit by external events. Once it's wounded and saddened and its peace is disturbed, then the human being becomes sick, withers like a crushed flower. So that's we have to hold sacred man's inner sanctuary. I guess he's referring to his feelings, his emotions. These are things, his honor. These are things which are his inner sanctuary. I'm assuming that he's referring to. Okay.
Does he say any place about communication between people?
I mean, that's exactly what he's talking about. The power of words. This is way before the Chafetz Chaim. But in other words, these psukim that he's quoted in the beginning of this section, it's interesting that the psukim themselves do not speak explicitly about harming somebody with words. They just speak about vexing, oppressing, afflicting, but they don't talk specifically about speech. But that's what Rav Hirsch is pointing out over here, that these psukim also are focusing on speech, because speech can be very, very very it could cause great damage. Okay. But on the other hand, he's saying that it's a place that you could plant your most beautiful blessings in this inner sanctuary: wisdom, solace, love, kindness, and this is all accomplished through the word. So that's what okay. So shall we continue? Roy, would you like to continue over here? But if you turn into
a sharp and lethal weapon, this word, which is destined to bring life and blessings, if you seek pleasure in mocking the inexperienced and less intelligent, in deceiving and embarrassing him instead of teaching and correcting him, if you ridicule the unfortunate whose troubled mind is longing for comfort from your lips and overwhelm him with useless reproaches, if you put your brother to shame in front of others, even for the purpose of correcting him, if you degrade your brother's personality by calling him bad names, if with icy scorn and fiery disdain in your barbed words, you shoot sharp arrows into your brother's heart and rejoice in his discomfort, oh, then do not dare to look up to heaven. God sees your brother's heart, convulsed by the daggers of your words, frozen under your icy scorn, humiliated with your ridicule. With him, that's with Hashem, the rejected soul will find refuge to his throne. Tears always find the door open. And you, the Almighty, is just. Will I finish it off or?
Yeah.
Youth and maiden of Israel, you to whom God's gift is still pure, whose hearts have not hardened, watch your word, keep it pure and devout, so that no heart may bleed, wounded by your word. Again, above all, watch it in your dealing with the unfortunate, the poor, dependents, servants, for doubly do they feel the slightest suggestion of scorn. Indeed, their tender heart often feels a sting where you would not suspect one. And above all, the female heart. Remember the teaching of our wise men who list as prohibited according to the prohibition of honor, vexation, teasing, deceiving, embarrassing, needling, ridiculing, mocking, jesting with and calling names, and then add graver even than injury by action is vexation by words. The former only affects property, the latter the human being as a whole. The former can be repaired, the latter cannot. The tears of the offended find easy access to the throne of the Almighty. Fear him, for his eye sees. Elsewhere it is said, he who puts his neighbor to shame in public is like a murderer. Do you not see his blood flow? 3 sinners descend into Gehenna, and do not rise again. He who commits adultery, he who puts his neighbor to shame in public, and he who calls his neighbors names. Though all the gates of heaven may be closed to prayer, no gate is ever closed to the tear of an injured heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's just yeah. Above all, the female hearts. Very interesting.
Is the gate of tears open to the person who was doing wrong, who was bullying and all that, and his heart is not injured, but he's upset for some reason. Not necessarily tshuva. He might be upset that he's not more effective.
Well, you mean that in other words, a husband could say, but she did this to me, she did that to me, she said this to me. So, she had it coming that I would say such a thing to her. He's defending himself against the hurtful words that he said. But she does the same thing to me.
And he gets upset by that and cries.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate situation. Very, very unfortunate. This is, don't know, people that do try to make peace between couples that are having difficulties. They oftentimes that's what it boils down to. You tell one spouse, you can't do like that to your spouse, and they say, oh, but you know what they did to me. So it's they don't neither one is able to get past the idea of that, if somebody gives to you, you got to give them back. This is not a Jewish idea. It's called revenge. The Torah forbids it, and it's a very, very unfortunate situation that exists between. Anyway, Hashem Yazor. Okay, so
aren't there situations where revenge is permitted?
For example,
Well, I suppose when the I've forgotten their names. When they with the we were doing the everything's gone out of my head.
I mean, as far as I was talking about, it's certainly permissible for one person to say to the other, please don't talk to me like that. I won't stand for that. But to respond in kind seems to me to be no less than a violation of this prohibition of onas devarim, to engage in hurtful words. There's never a excuse for saying hurtful words. It's not an excuse to say, well, they said such things to me. So the person is guilty of the prohibition of onas devarim, saying hurtful words. And number two, he's guilty of revenge. Because the reason why he's saying them is because he's trying to get back at the person who said those words to him.
Yeah.
So in a certain sense, he's even he's got two averas, whereas the other person only has one. So it's a somebody has to be the adult. Somebody has to be the balabais. And they have to take responsibility for the relationship, and not give back in the same way that they were given, because otherwise it's a downward spiral. Chas v'sholom, lo aleinu.
I was thinking of the that's right, the circumcision of the city, and the Jews attacked them on the third day. What was that? I've forgotten. Because
Oh, you mean in the Torah where Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu to take the revenge of the Midyanim?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
but they,
If Hashem comes to you and says, take revenge, so you can do it.
right.
Yeah.
Sorry for having to run away. I forgot to warn you. I had the locksmith coming.
Oh, okay.
They finally let you in.
Yeah, now I can actually go back in and out of my house now again.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Baruch
I
Hashem.
was a hostage.
Oy, chas v'sholom. Ah, okay.
Right. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very sore subject. A very sore one. Very unfortunate. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's why Rav Hirsch is going on and on about this. Okay, so that's and a round of applause for not doing Inui and not doing Onas Devorim and learning about not doing Halbanas Panim Barabim and not about doing vexation and oppression that Rav Hirsch has taught us. As Hashem should be Zoche to be from the ones that use our words to empower, to give wisdom, to give solace, love and kindness, and blessings. There's Hashem. Okay. Section 52. Nesinas Mikshol Lifnei Iver. Don't put a stumbling block before a blind person. We'll see what this is all about. And we call upon Lou to start the reading. Oh, you got a red mic, Lou.
Sorry. 387, is that what you said?
Section 52, right?
381, Lou.
Oh, 381. There.
You're welcome.
81. 380. Oh, here we are. Okay. You shall not put a stumbling block in the path of him who is blind of eye, mind, or heart, and do not say, who sees it? I, Hashem, see it. Fear my eye if you do not fear the human eye. Do not put anything in the path of him who is blind of eye, which might make him stumble. Remove everything from his path, which might do harm to him who is afflicted. Not only the blind, but all those physically afflicted. All the weak children, too, are recommended to the protection of the healthy, the strong, and the adult. Do not harm them by abusing your guardianship. Be the eyes of the blind, the staff of the lame, the support of the sick, and guide to the children and the aged.
Wow. Wow, interesting. See how Rav Hirsch has taken out so many lessons from this pasuk. Don't put a stumbling block in front of a person who's blind. Many different types of blindness. Blindness of eye, blindness of mind, blindness of heart, And so those are all the different ones that he was mentioning. Be a guide to children and the aged, and also to other people that are right, to give a yeah. Okay, let's see what he says further. 382. He's going to focus on these different categories of people that are blind, to the blind of mind, and we go to Mayor to continue.
Okay, 382. To the blind of mind are the injudicious, the inexperienced, also the young and infants. You, to whom God has granted more intelligence and judgment, and to whom he sends a person whom is mentally handicapped, or you who are asked for advice by any one of your fellow men, be guardian and lend him your intelligence for his benefit and not to his disadvantage. Fear God, who scrutinizes you thoroughly and knows your inner secrets and sees whether you have given your advice according to the best of your knowledge and as though it were in your own interest, or whether you have abused your fellow man's confidence to his detriment. Parents, teachers, brothers and sisters, friends, and all you who exert influence by deed and by the written or spoken word on young souls, they are blind of mind, and their minds are illumined by the light of your mind. What you, by your word and example, tell them to be true and good will be regarded by them as true and good for a long time, and they will base their life on it until they are able to judge for themselves. Do not put a stumbling block into their path. Woe to them if you are not honest with them, if you present to them false doctrine as the truth, evil as good, falsehood as truth, if you turn night into day and the daylight of truth into darkness. One day they will awake and curse you, and God will hear that curse. Fear him. If you do not fear human beings, he sees into your heart.
Wow. Powerful.
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
One thing I've noticed
Yeah.
is that even if you do something wrong that you didn't mean to do, or that you were led astray, you are still liable in any area of Yiddishkeit.
Absolutely. Shogeg is also all the korbanos in the base of Mikdash are brought by somebody who was a shogeg, right? Someone that did a sin bezid intentionally. There's no korban for him. So what's the proof? What's that proving? It's proving that someone who did something unknowingly, but he nevertheless did the wrong thing, he needs atonement. That's why he's bringing a korban. Okay, very good. Absolutely. Okay, so
Well, why is that?
why is what? Oh, why? What's wrong with doing something unknowingly?
How can you atone for something that you didn't know you did? Isn't atonement like a correction, a repair of a problem?
Well, let's say somebody violated Shabbos and you'll ask him, how could you do bishul on Shabbos? He says, bishul? Oh, I didn't know that something was usher because it was. I didn't know that you couldn't do bishul on Shabbos, right? He didn't know, but he should have known.
So is he negligent? Is that what the problem is? It's a negligence issue?
Yeah. Yeah. He's blameworthy.
What if he turns the light on? He goes into the bathroom and without thinking, he flicks the switch out of habit.
You just said the words yourself. He wasn't thinking. You got to think.
I'm saying he wasn't thinking, I'm going to flick the switch. He just did it without.
Okay, so he wasn't amazing. He didn't do it knowing I'm turning on the switch, even though I know it's Shabbos. True. He's not. He didn't do that. True.
Is that still negligence?
Seems to me.
We seem to be responsible for every fraction of what we do, of our lives.
Yeah. We have to be that's what it means to be a Shomer Shabbos. We're on guard in a certain sense. A Shomer is a guard. And the first thing about a guard is that he doesn't fall asleep on the job. That's not a guard. You told the guy to guard the gate, and he was there. He was guarding. Then he fell asleep, and then the robbers came in and robbed everything. You say, hey, how come you were supposed to be guarding? Oh, sorry, I fell asleep. I was very tired. Shkoyach.
Shkoyach.
Okay. A great day to Meir.
Okay. And everyone else should have a good day.
Amen. All of Klal Yisrael.
Everyone.
We'll be back